Hey, what's up, James? Jamie, and welcome back to another video. Today, we are coming at you with another new series. That's right, I have been starting a lot of new series. I mean, just Monday, like last Monday, I started, or maybe it's last Thursday, I can't remember. But sometime last week, I started AdventureCraft, and now I'm bringing this series to you guys. I also just started Lords Mobile yesterday, so I'm starting to bring a new type of thing to my channel, because one can only do Minecraft for so long, especially a small channel like me. I need to broaden my my choices on YouTube, so that way when people search this stuff up, they can find my channel and hopefully they enjoy the content. And I'm not going to be like one of those YouTubers that, like, in the tags they put just a bunch of random stuff that has nothing to do with the video. Like, I'm not going to be a clickbaiter. I'm just broadening my YouTube channel to different things to where it's easier to find my channel, which will allow me to grow, and it will allow you guys to get to know more people, and it'll allow me to bring better content to the channel. So yeah, I'm not trying to pull away completely from Minecraft. Don't get me wrong. There's still going to be plenty of Minecraft on the channel. Like I said, I got AdventureCraft. Jamacraft will be coming back. So I've got a lot of, there's still a lot of Minecraft going to be on the channel. But like I'm doing with Lords Mobile and now this new series, trying to make it a little bit less all Minecraft. I mean, my channel was never all Minecraft to begin with. I mean, at the beginning, yes, it was all Minecraft, but later on, once I hit, like, I don't know, like 30 or 40 subs, I started getting into more of Steam games. Like, I started playing Terraria, I started playing TF2, I had my random games series that I just had you guys tell me what to play, and then I played them. So, yes, but this series, I think I talked about a little bit in my Lords Mobile game, or either that, or it was in an AdventureCraft episode. One or the other. And if it wasn't an AdventureCraft episode, more than likely the video wasn't posted. That video wasn't posted yet. So regardless, yeah, this series is going to be more of a serious type series, and I know on my channel that I have a lot of fun. I'm really energetic and whatnot, but with this series, I kind of want to bring a more serious tone to it, and not going to be serious in a way where it's like, okay, I won't make jokes at all. Like, it's going to be more serious. It's going to be serious in a way like, okay, I'll have a joke here or there, but overall, it's going to be a just kind of series that it's an informative series. Because, little background before we get into it, I am a gamer, and by gamer I mean I role play. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I play a lot of RPGs, tabletop, virtual, and I run my own tabletop game sessions. And the game that I run is called Deadlands. Now, I'm not too sure how well known Deadlands is in the role-playing community. I think it's a decent-sized fan base for this game. But basically, it takes place in post-apocalyptic America. Well, post-apocalyptic Earth. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be reading to you guys from the book. I have it right next to me. You could probably hear that. And there is 5 pages, 6 pages, 7 pages. I'm going to be reading you guys the Prospector story. And it's pretty long, but that's what this series is about. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. There's 9 pages on the Prospector story. And it's actually chapter 1. This book is written in chapters. And what I'm reading to you guys, and I'm going to be reading to you guys out of this book for this first season of it. And what I'm going to do is for every season, it's going to be a different game. So I'll be reading to you guys from Deadlands. This season will be going on for a little bit longer than probably most of them. Actually, they'll probably be going on for the same length. Dungeons and Dragons, when I get into that, It'll probably go on longer because there's a lot of stories and stuff to it. But with Deadlands, there's actually expansions to the game, and because Deadlands is one of the very few role playing games out there that doesn't have like a second edition or a third edition. This is just one edition. So instead of making editions, they made it expansions, and I will be reading the story behind those expansions in later episodes. But for now, for the first few episodes, I'm just going to be reading to you guys out of this book. And keep in mind, you guys, this book is this with the where this is set. It's set in the wild. It kind of Wild West style. It's post-apocalyptic Wild West, technically, I guess you can say, but it takes place years after like 2016, where it is now. But yeah. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So here we are. This is Chapter 1, The Prospector Story. And keep in mind, this is going to be read in first, third person. Think of movie, all right? That's how it's written. All right. So, Chapter 1, Prospector Story. Get up, Ranger. I know you're groggy from your dirt nap, but I ain't getting time to wet nurse in a 200-year-old piece of meat. Yeah, I look a little different, than last time. But when you laid eyes on my ugly puss, but it's me, Coot Jenkins, prospector. Ringing any bells? Worm Farm. I'm the one who stuck you in that hole 200 years ago, June 8th, 1876. If memory in that tombstone behind you serves, kind of a contingency plan. You see, in case my other scheme didn't work. Well, guess what? It didn't. If your brain pan ain't too full of bugs from all them years in the ground, you might remember I put together a couple score of your kind back then to fight the Reckoners, the monsters responsible for all the stuff that's happened in the Weird West. And, no, my bad, as the papers used to call it. For that, me and my little undead army had to go into the spirit world. The hunting grounds, as the Injuns say, where the Reckoners lived. We had no problem getting there. It was that army of demons waiting on us that gave us a few problems. Worst part of it was demons took control of most of the stiffs and turned them against me. Should have known the same demon that keeps corpses like you moving would have had an easier time getting control of their home turf. We still won the battle at least, but we lost the war. Me and what's left of me put you down the bad ones. Then we got lost somehow. The last dozen of my soldiers and I wandered around the hunting grounds for a long time, before we found our way out again. I didn't know how long we was gone until a few weeks back. You'll see what I mean when you turn your sorry sack of bones around and look at some of them on the tombstones. Brace yourself, friend. It is 2094. No use cleaning that dirt out of your ears, son. You heard me right. I've been back about a month. Now I'm digging up my reserves, and you're the first one. You're the first one to see the light of day. I just hope it ain't too late for us to do something about this. I don't know what we're gonna do yet, but I ain't going back in that damn hunting grounds. That's for sure. I should have realized the demons would have had more control over your kind in their own stomping grounds. Worst part is, I reckon my mistake cost us a petty dear. I think they done gone and blowed up the world while we was away. I walked a couple 100 miles to get here, and there ain't much left in the world. The cities have been blasted. There's hardly a tree between here and the Deadwood. It gets even worse. Sure you want to hear it? Maybe you ought to wait a while and catch your breath. Don't give me that look. It's a figure of speech. All right, smartass. You wanted to know? I'll have. All right. So before I get into this, sorry for the mess ups. I actually haven't read through this book too often. I mean, I know all of these a lot, but the way this is written, it's a lot different than how we speak. So it's gonna take a little bit of getting used to for me to read through it, but it'll all work out in the end. Trust me. So now we are We're in the second part of the Prospector story. It's called The Weird West. I'll have to start from the beginning. You remembered when the reckoning started? It was July 3rd, 1863, right? When we was fighting the Battle of Gettysburg? No. What's been crawling through your brain. Anyhow, it's actually all started a while before that, when an angry shaman by the name of Raven led a bunch of other angry shamans into the hunting grounds. They had an idea about letting these demons called mutants loose on the world. And you know what? They did it. How is not important. The fact is that these demons spurred back into our world and started causing trouble right away. Some folks even managed to harness the power of these filthy things. Funnier yet, some of them didn't even know they were doing it. Anyhow, these manus creatures, these mantius, set straight out to fill the world with mischief and fear, and they did a hell of a good job doing it. They got some help from all sorts of critters from legend, plus some all new things straight from the deep depths of some of your twist sicko's mind. Worse yet, they got help from us by the means of this stuff called ghost rock. Folks found it in the walls of the Great Maze after Raven tossed most of California into the sea. Part 3 of the Reckoner's Prospector story. My apologies. It's called Secret of Ghost Rock. Looking back on it now, I see Ghost Rock was the Reckoner's secret weapon. I know he was dead before it got discovered in 1868. He was gold. It was the super fuel that bombed bigger than gold. We should have known, and the stuff was very evil the way it screams when it burnt, and that smoke that looked like damned souls. I know that now. Those remain sealed in the stuff. Now, those remain... What the fuck? Hold on, you guys. I'm sorry about this. Like I said, it's going to take some getting used to. I'm reading this in really low light, too, so that doesn't help. Sorry if you hear the microphone move. Alright. Those were maintenance seals in the stuff. Just waiting for. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. The Reckoners put ghost rock here on Earth. Anywhere there was coal, gold, silver, or other ores, folks was likely to find ghost rock as well. Funny thing is, I don't remember a soul ever asking why this stuff has never been discovered before. Makes you kind of feel stupid, don't it? That the stuff would just appear overnight, and none of us ever questioned it? Huh. No, I don't know how they did it. They just did. And they are freaking supernatural, and I reckon any kind of monster that can make a corpse like you wake up and ask stupid questions can make a few billion tons of rock. Now shut up and let me finish. Anyways, the Reckoners put the stuff here for several reasons, though the last one's the clincher. The first reason was to get us to fight over it. We sure did plenty of that. Who can say how many died in the Great Rail Wars, the war between the states, and God knows how many claim jumpings, hold-ups, and robberies. The second reason was us fighting each other with weapons, sure to kill lots of folk in real painful ways. Even better, I expect Ghost Rock moves along a little faster than we probably should have gone. Most of the gadgets the mad scientists made were one of a kind. They couldn't be made on an assembly line like peacemakers. They was harmless enough in total, though not if you were one of the unlucky ones that got torched by a flamethrower or run over by a steam tank. Still, enough real progress got made, and all that stuff got deadlier faster than we could learn how to use it. I guess you might say technology grew faster than diplomacy. Don't look at me like that, Ranger. Just 'cause I got a bit of an accent don't mean I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. That's better. Anyhow, the real reason Reckoners gave us Ghost Rock was because of those damned maintenance inside. You see, there was this thing called the Last War in 2081. I'll tell you more about it later on. But in the end, every nation on Earth dropping bombs on each other. The apocalypse. Not a city was spared as far as I've heard. Sure, we had Ghost Rock bombs back in '76, but the ones that got here had been irradiated. I still don't know exactly what that means, but the effect is to make this stuff 100 times more powerful than it was before. Scary, ain't it? So those bombs blew things up real good, but they did something else too. Something no one ever counted on. You see, that radiated ghost rock full of damn spirits did more than just blow folks up. It also created Deadlands. In case your memory's rotten like your face, a Deadlands is a place full of fear. It actually warps the land, gives birth to monsters drawn right out of folks' nightmares. And that's what the Reckoners have been waiting on, for the whole stinking planet to turn into one giant Deadland. The bastards need that sort of fear to survive. Kind of like a fish needs water, or a prospector needs gold, or in my case, stinking corpses. Speaking of which, we gotta roll you around in a flower patch or something, Ranger. You're getting a little gamey after 200 years. Alright, we're now on part 4 of the Prospector story. So, with the world all warm like a nice hot bath and the sons of bitches stepped out of the hunting grounds onto Mother Earth, the Reckoners tore through the survivors of the last war like foxes in a henhouse. And you'd ever guessed who or what they are. The 4 freaking horsemen of the apocalypse. That's right, just like it says in the Bible. That feller I talked to said war popped up in Kansas, famine in the maize, death in Death Valley, and plague somewhere in Texas. They killed a mess of folks, then raised an army of their own demons out of the bodies. Then they tore a swath of destruction across the west, vanished across Mississippi into the east, which where I heard is even more blasted and ruined than it is out here, if you can believe it. Does that mean it's the end of times? Judgment Day? I don't know. We're still here, so either we're the meek and we've inherited this chunk of rock, or the Reckoners jumped the gun on God's little plan. Personally, I gotta believe the later. Most folks around here think God forgot about them. I don't even think they got many preachers anymore. I guess most of them gave up or died in the end. I don't reckon it much matters. We're here, we gotta survive, and the only way to do that is to dry up all the fear that's keeping the Reckoners alive. Alright, part 5, called Hell on Earth. Best I can figure, the bombs dropped in 2081, 13 years ago. Now, most every place is still a Deadlands. You can feel it. This spot where we're in now is one. Feel them evil spirits watching from on high? I do. And I'd swear some of them was the ones that I whooped back in hell. Blam! I know that was a waste of good buckshot, damn you, but it sure made me feel better. Been staggering around that place that'd make most men mad for 200 years. Well, I'm mad, alright? Just not the kind of mad. I'm mad because these damn monsters took away my life, and I'm mad because they ruined my world. And most of all of them, I'm mad because I'm a sore loser, and we lost, friend. Alright, I'll simmer down. I gotta watch my ammo anyways. Bullets and buckshots are real scarce here. I reckon there's a lot to shoot at. That's the kind of thing you need to know better than any that you need to know now that you're seeing sunlight again. Maybe I'd better tell you everything I've learned so far. Part 6, a history lesson. No one I talked about knows much about what happened back in our time. I think knowing the date of the Civil War ended, or who won the Great Rail Wars is too important. When you're eating a glowing rat for dinner, yeah, I said glowing. It has something to do with all that radiation stuff. What folks do know about it is recent history. Let's start with going into the stars. You heard me right, son? I said stars. Part 7, the Faraway War. From what I understand, and I've only been here a month, understand our old buddy Darius Hellstrom is the most famous mad scientist from our time is still around. Don't ask me how, but I reckon the man who can invent a dang blasted automation can figure out how to keep himself alive for a couple of centuries. Harrowed? No, I don't think so. I get a feeling about these things these days, and just don't sound right. Anyways, folks had been going to the moon for a long time. No one I talked to remembers exactly since when. That was about as far as they got, though, because them other planets was just too darn far. Around 2044, Hellstrom invented something they call the tunnel. It hung up in space between us and the moon and allowed space machines, they call them ships, for some reason to fly out into a whole nother place. This place, they found a system of planets called Faraway. One of them, a rock they called Banshee, caused the winds was race of aliens. You know, space foreigners, they call themselves Anooks, and proved to be mostly friendly. They was a primitive sort, so when we found out there was ghost rock on Banshee, we did 'em just like we did the Injuns. Trade 'em some breads and claim most of it for ourselves. Just like the Injuns, they eventually got fed up with us taking everything from 'em. Around 2074 or so, most of the aliens rose up and started fighting back. At first, the humans was winning. See, all the nations were fairly friendly at that point, so the settlers was protected by the Marines from something they called the United Nations. I guess they gotta call them Marines if they're gonna call their flying machines ships. Those boys were tough hombres. They had all kinds of guns and bombs, and the Anooks didn't stand much of a chance. Part 8, Psychers. So the Anooks turned to raid and steady a fight, and they brought their own kind of witch doctors. The Marines called them skinnies, and I reckon they could take over folks' minds, blow things up, and cause all kinds of hell. Remind you of anything? Yep. Sitting Bull and shamans whipped Custer's ass the same way. Maybe somebody remembered, because the United Nations asked all its members to send them special troops. They called Psychers. Best I can tell, the governments and more departments of the whole mess countries learned how to make soldiers into something like hucksters from our time. One of these boys and girls got their powers kind of like them Oriental folks they used to have out in Shanfran in our days. They drew it right out of the hunting grounds. Without the aid omissions, animal spirits, or even the blessings of the Almighty himself, it took years of training, and most who tried to become psychers couldn't cut it. Those who did were perfect for fighting the skinnies. So a couple thousand trekked out into Banshee to show 'em what for. Things got bloody in a hurry. Just like the Injun Wars in our time, both sides did things that would make their mamas cry. A lot of them Anooks didn't have nothing to do with the raids, but they knew where the others was hiding. So the Psychers had pretty much become cold-blooded killing machines by the time it was all over. Then the war back on Earth started up, and all the armies wanted their troops back. It was a big enough fight they took their regular troops first. It was almost a year before they got a ship to haul the Psychers home. In the meantime, they was the only army left to protect millions of colonists. The last few months on Banshee was worse than anything they'd gone through before. Eventually, they all got on a ship named Unity and headed home. By the time they got there, everything had already been blown to hell. Hell of a homecoming, huh, Ranger? You could spot these folk from a country mile away by their heads. They're bolder than the tops of the Rockies. I think their magic makes their hair fall out. Steer clear of them, though. After what happened to them on Banshee, they're orny sons of bitches. Number 9, I want to say, called The Last War. So how did the Last War begin? You can probably guess it started in the maze over the Ghost Rock. Huh? You don't even remember when California was tossed to the sea in '68? You're more worm-added than I thought. To backtrack a bit, what was left after the Great Quake was the maze of the sea canyons. That triggered the whole Great Rail Wars later on. A race to build a transcontinental railroad to supply the North and South with Ghost Rock and their war toys. I don't know what good it did them besides getting lots of folks killed. In the end, the Confederacy was its own nation. It was pretty much the same story 200 years later. The maze was still booming in 2080, and everybody still wanted Ghost Rock for themselves. I ain't figured out exactly how it got started, but in 2081, the U.S. and the whole pastel countries from around the world formed the Northern Alliance and claimed the maze, which had been split between the U.S. and the Rebs. Fights broke out, and the Rebs did the best they could, but it was too much too soon. They formed the Southern Alliance and soon had and soon half the countries on Earth were fighting in what was left of California. The war spread all over the world and went on for a better part of 3 years. I doubt me and you can imagine the kind of carnage it caused. Flying machines, tanks, artillery that could fire across oceans, and harrowed soldiers sued full of contraptions like automations. The last one of the armies must have thought they was losing New York. New York City vanished under a skull-shaped cloud of a ghost rock bomb in 2081. No one knows who dropped the first one, but within hours, thousands more fell on every city and fort in the world. There were lots of Deadlands already, places where some critter or madmen had been working for years. But the ones caused by the bombs came with complete, big swirling black storms full of mutinous. That's when the Reckoners came through and did their Texas two-step on the survivors. What was left of the Northern and Southern Alliance here in the West did their best to fight back. But what good do bombs do against hunger and disease? And the unholy critters of the horsemen made to fight for them could whip up most anything thrown at them anyways. The brave fighters died trying to make a last stand. The smart ones hid till the Reckoners eventually stalked off east. There weren't much left after that. My apologies. This is part 10, probably, called the Combine. There weren't much left later after that. Not a city was left standing. Towns that weren't too near the blast sites or in path of the Reckoners survived, but didn't have much food left. No way to defend themselves against marauding bands of deserters and other scum that came out of the woodwork when something bad happens. The worst of that scum was the Southern Alliance general named Throckmorton. He ran a prison camp with hundreds of captured Northerners and their equipment, as well as some of his own when the bombs started falling. He hid them all in a huge cave somewhere and offered them a deal: their freedom in exchange for joining his American Combine. There would be no more North and South, he claimed. Instead, there would be only one nation of strong, fit warriors who could resettle the land and fight the Reckoners. Sounds good, but Throckmorton's goons kill the leader of any village that don't support him, with crops, ghost rock, or whatever they may have that's worth a split. The Combine also kills whole tribes of what they call mutants, folks who get all diseased and warped by radiation. They don't fit in with the whole strong and fit part of the Throckmorton's new world. Now it seems the general's somehow taken over what's left of Hellstrom Industries in the ruins of Denver. Throckmorton got all Hellstrom's toys, including legions of automations that fly, swim, crawl underground, and God knows what else. Next part, I'm just going to say next part at this point. Hellstrom. You're probably wondering why Hellstrom didn't run his own business no more. That's a question I can answer, Ranger. You remember he taken up with the Mormons in the desert back in our time? They finally kicked him out when he wouldn't play nice. So he set up shop in Denver with nothing but automations for workers. Hellstrom disappeared when the bombs fell, and no one's seen him since. Even though his lab survived well enough that Throckmorton could move in, he got himself killed. Or he finally realized what a rotten egg he is and ran off to sulk. Why Hellstrom's automations work with Throckmorton is just a mystery. Next part, the Law Dogs. Well, with all the bandits and monsters after the apocalypse, it was only a matter of time till some do-getter stepped up to do what he felt was his duty. Except in his case, it was a her. This will make you proud, Ranger. You see, there was this lady Texas Ranger. Yep, I said lady. I guess a lot changed while he was gone. Anyway, this Ranger was named Jane Swindle. After the bombs, she gathered up all the other Rangers and the lawmen she could find. Sheriffs, deputies, U.S. Marshals, Pinkertons, firemen, whatever. She knew the only way to beat the Reckoners was to give folks hope, and the only way to do that was to restore some law and order to folks who were still kicking. Swindle called them all Law Dogs, and the name stuck. Those who stuck with her swore their loyalty and ventured off into the wastes to bring back the law by their actions, their fists, and if needed, their guns. They don't have no written laws, but they don't recognize no court. They don't think it's fair. If you run into one of these law dogs, make sure he or she's on your side. you can imagine what kind of person it takes to bring the law to a place like this. And considering I've still got I've still got 3 more pages of this. I'm going to end it off there. This is a 30-minute video at this point, so yeah, I'm definitely going to end it off there. This is longer than any video that I've created. So, yeah, and sorry for all the reading mistakes. Like I said, this speaks in a Wild West tone, and it's different from how most of us speak in the world. So I'm trying to get used to reading the entire thing out loud. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Post the comments what you guys want to see me read next after I'm done with this. Before I go, though, I want to give a huge shout-out to Damsels and Dingbats. The person behind that channel was the one who actually gave me this book and like 2, 3, 4 other books that I can use. So huge shout out to him. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. My name is, as always, Cool Man Majama, and I'll see you guys later. Stay cool, Jamas. See ya.